All right. Apologies for the technical difficulties there, everybody. We had a stream go bad on the first send to LinkedIn Live here, but we got everything worked out. So we're really happy to have you all joining us today for the keys to project status alignment, how early consensus building and excellent training ensures success. So again, thank you everyone for joining. Today, we're very, very fortunate to have an awesome presenter here with us, Stacy Rosen, a program and project manager from the IT PMO at Signet Jewelers. I'm Rob Walsh, one of the founders here at Vivid Charts, but Stacy's going to be the star of the show here, and I'll just be here to facilitate and let her tell her story. So, Stacy, we're going to get into the details of the presentation, but just to start off, would you mind just giving a little bit of a background and bio on yourself for the audience?
Sure. Well, you introduced me as a star. So, so I've been with Signet since December 2019. So I started right before the pandemic. I started in the PMO, adding support to the PMO team and administering ServiceNow and helping folks run their projects. And it's kind of evolved into now I have projects that I'm helping to run and also helping to provide training and governance to folks who are running IT projects. We have a little over 15 portfolios and almost 100 projects that run at any given time, 80 to 100. So we provide governance and support to our project managers and portfolio directors and portfolio owners via the PMO.
Awesome. Thank you, Stacey. And we're going to get into some specifics on how they support those functions internally. Before we do that, just so everyone in the audience has a sense of what Vivid Charts is, who we are, and our partnership with ServiceNow. We are a certified elite technology partner of ServiceNow, and our application lives directly in your instance as a customer. So no data leaves the platform whatsoever. All of our technology is built natively in ServiceNow, which brings some benefits that you're going to hear about today. What we're really about is visualizing and presenting the data that flows through your ServiceNow instance in ways that the business needs to use it and different personas in the business need to use it. So today we're going to talk a little bit about project status reporting and project data, but our platform can be used to visualize any kind of data flowing through your ServiceNow instance. But for today, here's a little bit of a breakdown on how the presentation is going to flow. We're going to start by learning a little bit about just Signet Jewelers as an organization. We're going to talk about the IT PMO, some of Stacy's team members of the IT PMO, and how they approach the processes, the technology, the governance, the training organizationally. The specific problem we'll talk about today is a problem they experienced around project status reporting and some challenges there. And what's going to be really interesting for the audience is when we start to go through the methodology that Stacy and the team used to build consensus around a new standardized format and delivered excellent training and support, not just for the project status, but you're going to hear about the approach they take more broadly as a PMO. And then we'll close out with what has the reception been like, post go live. So that's kind of the flow we're going to go through. To get started, would you mind, Stacy, just giving a little bit of background on Signet Jewelers as an organization?
Right. So we are the largest global retailer of diamond jewelry. We have a bunch of companies under our umbrella or banners under our umbrella. We have about 2,800 stores nationwide. Those brands include on the U.S. side, Kay, Zales, Blue Nile is now a part of our lineup. That's an online retailer. And then we also have Rockbox that's joined us, and we have over 30,000 team members. That means in stores and at the support center in Akron and Dallas. So pretty large team, and we have a large group of project managers and product owners and product teams working under the IT arena and under our digital teams as well.
Awesome. And yeah, so let's start to talk a little bit more about the IT PMO specifically that you're part of at Signet. Just help the audience understand your all's approach to providing tools, guidance, processes, any amount of governance. How do you support the delivery of strategic work for Signet Jewelers as a PMO?
Right. So we provide governance to our project managers and project teams. So that means we provide some subject matter expertise within ServiceNow. We use ServiceNow as our system of record for project plans and project status. We use that for metrics and reporting. And so folks know that that's their system of record to go to with, aligning their projects and making sure teams are recording their time and we can track accordingly. We also provide training on either project management knowledge. We just kicked off some resource management. We provide training on how to run your projects within ServiceNow and guidance. And we also provide all the materials. So training materials, we do office hours and demos so that folks can really get their arms around how to actively manage their projects and not get tripped up on the red tape.
Yeah, definitely. And you're starting to see a little bit of the size and scale. We're working with 15 portfolios, 80 to 100 projects. A lot of that's facilitated out of ServiceNow as the system of record. And Stacy, you joined the organization, a little bit before the pandemic, like you said. What was it like for you to join the organization to get ramped up and kind of become the ServiceNow subject matter expert?
It was an interesting time to join. I was brand new. I joined, I think, December 9th. I want to say it was around the second or third week of December 2019. So I was just getting like my feet wet. You'll see on this slide my sensei, as I call him, or counterpart in the PMO, Kevin Walker. Some of this was actually his brainchild, the status reporting tool and working with Vivid Charts. But we were kind of just training. He was just training me. I hadn't really used ServiceNow that much. I'd obviously heard about it. I knew of it as a ticketing tool or ITSM. I had never really used it as a PPM tool. I use other tools that you're familiar with, maybe Rally. So it was an interesting time to just get to know people, see their faces, and then be working from home, right? And it provided some challenges, but also some great things because I was really able to dive in and I've kind of taken on more of a SME role within the organization. In addition to, helping manage projects, I also kind of dove into ServiceNow and really tried to understand that as a tool, as a PPM tool, and help people to optimize it for their projects. And so part of that is, articulating status reporting in a way that is more of a view or a dashboard level view rather than, a voluminous 6-page long, status. It's like, show me my high level metrics, my overall project health. And those were things that I really started as I got to know people. I think when you're working from home, you get a deeper connection with people. And I was able to kind of listen to people along with my team and kind of garner what they were looking for and what would help them. I think that's how we've guided people, is we've really tried to develop a partnership with our project managers and portfolio managers and owners, right, to understand what's going to help them be successful. And so that's kind of how I rolled into it. Awkward time, but it ended up being a beautiful thing because it helped me dive deep, and get to know people.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's gone beyond just the project portfolio modules. You just kind of led the rollout of resource management with the team at InSource, which is, no small undertaking. So, your knowledge around ServiceNow has become pretty significant. And, I mentioned this before, but the training materials and the training approach that you'll hear, applied to project status today, you provide those across ServiceNow functions. And as you roll out new functionality, you're using these same strategies to make sure you drive adoption and buy-in internally. So I think it's going to be really great for the audience to learn some of that from you. So let's start to apply some of that through the lens of the problem, Vivid Charts and Signet worked on together. And it's revolving around project status reporting. So could you start to share a little bit about, the project status challenge that we originally started discussing and then eventually partnered to solve, and we kind of walk through some of the steps?
Sure. So ServiceNow was brought on before I started at Signet. And, obviously we've evolved as an organization, as an IT organization, how we run projects. And along with that, the tool kind of needs to catch up to us and evolve. And especially on the reporting side, right? And ServiceNow is great, but the out-of-the-box project status reporting is voluminous, to say the least. It's got some great metrics on it, but it's really hard to put that in a snapshot, right? To put it on a slide. or to share it with leadership in a efficient way. So we were having some issues with everybody on every team was kind of doing their own thing, was doing project status reporting in their own way. Maybe it was a PowerPoint deck, maybe it was an Excel spreadsheet, and they would meet with their teams weekly and share those metrics with their team. And it may have been a couple different parameters that they were looking at that they weren't necessarily maybe pulling out of ServiceNow. And so we realized that this was causing a lot of time and effort on the PM side, because not only were they creating this status report in another tool, but they were required to go into ServiceNow and use it as their system of record. So they still had to go in and put their status report. Maybe they were copying and pasting it, which isn't always ideal with rich text and things. So we realized that there was a challenge, and also getting that information and articulating it in a very high level, sleek way to our executives, right? A way to show them our project health, project statuses in a slicker way that they could understand where we were at, and maybe even give them some metrics to take back to, upper management, if you will. So we started to go out to the teams when this project was kind of conceptualized and kicked off. We started to go out to our portfolio managers and just kind of talk to them and have some sessions with them and ask them, what are you doing today? Show me what you're doing. Show me your PowerPoint deck. I want to see what you're, sharing with your VP or your, portfolio owner. And we kind of got an idea of the kind of metrics they wanted to share, and looked at ServiceNow and obviously kind of aggregated what might be a great across the board set of metrics to share on a dashboard. We needed that dashboard view and a way to share it with others. So that means maybe to, dump it into a PDF so that people could display to their leadership, or display it live and be able to go navigate status by status. And before, we weren't really able to do that. We had a tough time. So this really was causing our project managers a lot of extra effort. And sometimes the adoption was poor, because it was like, gosh, I got to go into ServiceNow and do this in there when I've already done it here. So those sessions were really focused around, what are you looking for? What do you need to report, and how do you want to report it? And then we took those ideas and different ways that they were reporting and came to Vivid Charts, and we kind of came together with Vivid Charts to design something that satisfied all of those teams.
Yeah, definitely. And we're already starting to get into, you recognize the problem, you found a few different areas of the organizations that it was impacting, that were doing things maybe in their own way. And what's really interesting about the way you approached it is, and you already kind of started talking about this, how you started to build buy-in early in the process and develop, get ownership for the people that were going to be using the end solution eventually once it went live. So you talked about going out to portfolio owners, to project managers, to find out, how are you doing things today? So, you really started to build that ownership and let them participate in the standardization effort. So, just walk us through a little bit more on, you went to those portfolio owners and project managers. Who else in the organization did you involve? You partnered with Vivid Charts to do a little bit of design and mock-up iteration. So just share a little bit more about that process.
Right. So I think it's really important that, even though we're the PMO and we're here to provide governance and training and help you through, this is your tool, and it needs to be optimized to work for you, right? And we're hearing you. We're hearing what you want and you need, and we're meeting you there. And that was what this was. It was like, let us know what your challenges are. Let us know what you'd like to see and how you'd like to see it and present it. And that's really how it started and how it evolved. Not only did we started to get buy-in from the portfolio owners and portfolio directors, right? We would come up with a mock-up. We worked really closely with Vivid Charts that did a great job. It was a great partnership. We were kind of like this hodgepodge, right? Where we were managing a project together and designing something together. And it was very iterative based on the feedback we were getting. So we would go back to our team and say, how does this look? And they would let us know, oh, you know what, I'd love to see this, or I'd love it laid out this way. And that was a pretty easy process. And then after that, once we kind of got that tightened up, we went to our leadership and we shared it. And we said, what do you think? Is there anything that's missing or that you'd like to see, or maybe you'd like to take away? Because this is what you're going to be viewing every week from teams, right? And how they turn this in. Are we going in the right direction? And we got a lot of positive feedback. We had some changes, but it was important to understand that this is your tool, right? We're hearing you, we're designing something based on your needs to help you articulate your project metrics to your management, and really understand where you're at project-wise. I mean, just to help with, we were able to display some milestones and things like that that we really weren't able to do before. And so it's really helped us evolve, and it will continue to evolve as we evolve, right? So that's the great thing about this tool, is that we can iterate on this based on what we started. But that was kind of the process, really, is working with teams, letting them be a part of designing their own tool, if I can say it in a better way.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say from VividChart's standpoint, this approach and watching how successful this was, led by your efforts, Stacy, it's helped us learn how important this consensus building process is to a successful rollout of a new standard. So, I think we've learned and grown with you in this process, which we appreciate. And the other thing you kind of touched on there at the end that happens pretty naturally through this is you'll maybe get asked for data points that aren't there yet, but as the PMO matures, as the tool set and ServiceNow matures, and you implement new things like resource management, it kind of starts to show you what the roadmap, the maturity roadmap is going to be going forward, because you're getting asked for things that are possible, but you have to mature into. So, that was kind of a pretty cool finding to me out of all of this. All right, so you built consensus. As a part of that, you were working with VividCharts to produce designs and then eventually, build the actual status report in ServiceNow. Then it was there, it was ready for use, and training was what really stood out to me, that reinforced like this is going to be successful going forward as something that gets adopted organizationally and delivers on the value. So, you do this for all kinds of technologies outside of VividCharts, which I think is why it was successful. But start to walk us through, what did training look like once everything was ready to actually start being used?
Right. So we approach training in a couple different ways. There are folks that obviously want to self-teach. So you want those materials to be available, some content out. We use Teams at our organization, and we have a couple of Teams channels where we direct folks to on the PMO level. Maybe they need SDLC documentation and help in running their projects, some templates. We also have a PPM portfolio management channel, and we have quick guides that we've written for every module in ServiceNow, including how to use the status portal. So how they navigate to it. I mean, from like soup to nuts, right? Take you by the hand and show you step by step how you go in and create a status report, how it's going to be viewed on the status portal, how you can create your own unique project sets to share with your team every week. That's been very powerful. This is an incredibly powerful tool for us. And we think, at the time when we rolled this out, it was an MVP. It was getting us somewhere. There's more to come, right? Based on how we've evolved, like you said. So, our training, we put a slide deck together. We did demos, so hands-on, where people could watch us. We recorded those demos. So if you're the kind of person that needs to see it, or maybe you're a listener, or maybe you're kinesthetic and you need to get your hands on it, you want to self-teach as you're going along, you can watch the video and the recording. Or maybe you're someone that wants to follow along with a quick guide, a step-by-step quick guide. So those are the kind of things in our PMO organization we try to provide our users, so that they have access to those materials no matter what, no matter which one of us is available. We also try to offer office hours. So we set up, regularly scheduled times or a sign-up sheet. And that way, if you're looking for help, if it's targeted, if you have questions about the status portal, one of us on the team, there's 3 of us can sit with you and teach you on how to use the tool. So that's kind of how we've approached training. It's been really successful for us, and people have been able to kind of, onboard new members and share that training with them rather than relying on our availability. So that's been really critical, is having those materials out there that people can access at any time.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, what stood out to me with all of this was a play that had been run before. So, this is part of the culture and part of the core competency of, you, Kavita, Kevin, and the PMO. This is how you approach a rollout across the board, where you're investing the time up front to do the personalized training, but you're also providing self-service resources to reference back to, and that ensures, strong rollout up front, but also, like you said, you barely get any questions going forward out of there. You're there to help if needed, but the initial rollout and training was strong and backed up with documentation and training resources. So I think that's just something to really call out and commend you and the entire team on, because it was so well run.
Thank you. I actually misspoke. There's 4 of us. I don't get in trouble, but there's 4 of us, and we tend to trade off, like on the training. Like one of us might do a deck and record, the other one of us might do another one, because there are obviously unique questions that come out of sessions. So we try to capture those so that people can hear those questions that are asked, because sometimes it's a valid question and something we can take back, put it on the backlog. Maybe it's a great idea for another, data point or something to think about. But there's Kevin Walker, who this was really his brainchild, and he taught me. And then Kavita Bazdio, who is who's our leader, my boss, and then Janelle Snyder, who also helped to work on the training with us. So we've all kind of gotten our chops and become, celebrities with these recordings and trying to help people through. And we all have different styles, and so maybe someone takes to my style or Kevin's style of training. So it's been very successful for us, and we've continued to use that model.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we got a couple of screenshots in here of some of the slideware you put together. Outside of what you already shared, anything just kind of jump out? I know you love the what's in it for me slide.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I always try to. I think it's something important we've learned through, change, like the change management philosophy, right? And some folks on our change management team is really starting off with, what does this mean to me? I mean, isn't that the simplest thing? Like, if something changes, what's in it for me? What is this going to help me with? Well, it's going to help you save a lot of time, and it's going to be easier to use, and it's efficient, right? And it's consistent. It looks the same across all the teams. We no longer have somebody over here doing a PDF, somebody over here doing their PowerPoint. It looks and feels the same way. So it's the same metrics that we've all agreed upon, right? That we've signed off on and bought into. And then really just, showing people, hey, what has changed? Is there a different way that I have to enter my status? Kind of relieving some nerves of, no, you're still doing things the same way, but now it's visualized differently and better. And so that was really how we tried to portray it. What's changed? What do I need to do? And how does this improve my experience as a project manager, as a project owner or portfolio manager? As a portfolio owner, you're going to get consistent information that is provided in a dashboard view. So immediately you'll see your project health. If a project's green, what's going on with the schedule, what's going on with, this week's achievements or last week's achievements, what your milestones look like, if you have any risks or issues. Those are really great things that are captured on the status portal that people used to have to either scroll through pages or it was in different formats.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, we got a couple more screenshots, and it's just going more into, these are kind of the why slides. And then you've got some of the how slides that provide, what are the things that it does, just in kind of text format, and then some screenshots. Right. Of the interfaces. So, there's that to reference back to, not just where do I find it, but, what does the interface look like that I'm going to see, and just, again, like the supporting documentation and resources that you provided coming out of the rollout were just really, really solid. So, glad we got to share some of these with the audience here. Let's start to step into, what reception was like after the rollout. We talked about, what set you up for success, the consensus building, the great training and reinforcement with materials. What was the rollout and reception like after it started being used?
So I think the reception actually was very positive because we put out some really solid training, so folks could understand how to use the tool. And, we provided office hours so they could come to us with questions. And, at first there was, people trying to figure it out or having some questions, but the overall reception has been incredible on both sides, leadership and the users, right? And there were a couple groups who were nervous about because they liked to control how they portrayed their status reporting. And this, because we brought them in early and allowed them to help design this, and really listened to what they had to say and tested how it worked with some of the users that were high users, the adoption was fantastic. And I honestly have not had anyone come to me since we rolled it out. Probably the first month or two it was new, but now that it's been fully adopted, it's taken off. And I was actually told a couple of weeks ago, man, it takes us like 15 minutes to run through our status meeting because of this tool. So that was a great thing to hear, because some of our customers are tough. Some of them have high expectation or have some skepticism about managing projects fully in ServiceNow. That's real talk. Maybe they are comfortable with, Microsoft Project, and then maybe they want to, display their status in a different way. So this has really helped us streamline everything. And we really had great buy-in from all the teams. That was critical. And I think that had to do a lot with taking in and listening to the need, providing the tool, and then iterating as we've gone. Like if we've gotten suggestions or if we've had issues, we're able to work with Vivid Charts, we're able to work with, the development team to really get things, fixed and, changed in real time. So that's been really helpful. And then, like you said earlier, we've, taken away lessons learned, we've improved, we've learned from each other through this experience. And it's been really useful. So the team has really adopted it well. I hear nothing but positive things. And it's not always easy to roll out a new tool and have, a wide swath of people all buy into it, but they have. And so that really speaks to, the success of this, and that people are really looking for a high level way to view project metrics today. They don't want to see a whole bunch of detail. They want to see show me the money, show me the high level slick view.
Yeah, definitely. And I just, again, echo how much we've learned, through working with the team at Signet. And, we always kind of think about how do we align things from top to bottom, make things easy and efficient for the folks putting the data in and actually on the ground managing projects. How does that impact the PMO in their governance and their technology and training that they provide? And then how do we make things easy, self-service, served up to executive stakeholders so that things are at their fingertips when they need it, and also easy for PMs or portfolio owners to present in a steer co meeting or something like that. So how do we connect things from top to bottom, end to end throughout that entire process? So Stacy, in wrapping up here, let's just talk a little bit about what's on the horizon for the PMO at Signet. Would you mind just sharing a little bit about the resource project that just wrapped up and kind of what's on the horizon for you all?
Sure. So we just kicked off resource management. It's a big effort for us in the PMO and IT in general. We didn't really have a tool. People were using spreadsheets, and a lot of companies do that, or their own, home cooked way of managing resources. And it was really hard for us to get an idea of, efforts across the organization. So we just kicked the resource management tool off in ServiceNow. So folks are starting to add resource plans, and we're really we'll be able to start building a story on how, resources are being used across projects. And then we've been, engaged with Vivid Charts to start furthering the way we're using not only the status portal, but the new data engagement platform that's out there. There's really exciting things coming with that, being able to customize as an application owner, right, of the status portal, being able to customize change metrics if we need to as we grow. Maybe we don't want to see, last week's achievements anymore. Maybe we want to add a different metric that's available in ServiceNow. So there are new and exciting ways for us to do that and take ownership of that on our own with that new tool. And then I know we are also talking about, overall portfolio health, a way for us to view the overall portfolios and their statuses and that overall health of that portfolio. And then we're just continuing to enhance our users' experience. So we're trying to, right now as the PMO, part of resource management was part of us optimizing the ServiceNow tool to meet our needs today, right? Because when the ServiceNow tool was brought on, that was, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe. And, we've grown since then. And the way we use the tool and view the metrics out of the tool is different. And so we're trying to optimize that to match and align with how we're running our projects today. So those are things that we're actively working on. We just released a few things this year, some really big projects, and we worked with InSource on that as well. So that's been a great experience. And we've been able to really streamline the way people, enter data into their project records and our demand process as well. So those are some of the things that we've been working on and we're excited about.
Yeah, that's great. And, I've said it a couple of times throughout how we've learned from the team at Signet from a process and successful rollout standpoint, but also from a product standpoint, learning how important it is for customers to be able to iterate on their own. So, Stacy mentioned the new data engagement platform. when we did the initial rollout with Stacy and the team, we did a design in Figma to start, but with the new platform, we can do that in platform, right? We can make adjustments so quick and easy, both on the data points and the design. So, learning how important those things in that iterative process is, through that consensus building has really influenced our product as well. So again, I want to thank you all for that. With that, we'll open it up to any questions anybody wants to drop in the LinkedIn comment stream as we're kind of letting those flow in, and I'll get a Slack on those if there are any. Stacy, is there anything else you would want to add just as we're waiting on those to close things out or leave the audience with? Oh, Stacy, I think we got you muted here.
I muted. No, I just want to thank everybody for joining. And I hope that, hearing our story maybe helps if you're kind of in the middle of trying to kind of navigate maybe to make some changes in your own tool and how you might want to communicate statuses or training with your team. If you don't have questions now, if you think of anything, message me on LinkedIn, or I always love to network with folks who use ServiceNow and hear how you're using it, especially the resource management tool and the status reporting tool. So if you think of anything, if you're, still kind of formulating thoughts, just send me a message. I would love to chat with you and understand how you're using it or answer any of your questions. But I appreciate everyone listening to our story. It was very successful, and I loved working with VividChart. So this was fun for me to do, and I'm happy to share this with everyone.
That's great. Well, Stacy, to close out, obviously got to thank you first and foremost for sharing your time and story with us today. It was really cool to get to hear and participate in with you. For the audience out there, we did want to do something for you to say thank you for joining us today as well. If you want to book an intro call or a demo with VividCharts in the month of October, we're going to do a special promotion of a 20% discount on subscriptions if you book a time with us in October. So we're going to drop a booking link in the comment stream that you could book directly on with that. We'll also be sharing the recording out and a little bit of a recap coming out of today. So we'll include, the link to book via that email as well. So again, just want to put a thank you out all around Stacy and the Signet team, everyone out there who joined in and shared about an hour with us today. Thank you all, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.